Welcome to the Panther Podcast. My name's Alyssa. I'm a senior at UWM studying global management and Italian.
I'm Maggie Cody. I'm a journalism major at UWM as well, and I will also be graduating this May.
I'm Ellen Benson. I'm an international economics and development major, and I'm also a senior girly here, graduating in the May, senior squad.
Yes.
Woohoo. So today we're going to talk about work culture and what that's like in different cultures. I'm going to start out with talking about Australia, which has a similar but different work structure than us. So Aussies, because we're pals, are pretty relaxed. They have not very organized hierarchy in the workplace. Basically, if you could put like surf culture over a working culture, that's it. The male to females of like employment, there's around 47% of women who are employed full time, and then the men is actually dropping, which is interesting.
I agree.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
Why? Does it
It didn't really say why. It just said that their employment went down 18% over the last 40 years compared to women's, which has like risen 22%.
Women in the workplace.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting because during my research, I also saw how like I feel like we're in America, we're very centered on like our generational like setup, where like that also applies to a lot of different countries too. Like when we had our baby boomer like time, so did a lot of countries, and now we're getting to that time period where like those people are like phasing out and we have to somehow fill their spaces within the workforce. So yeah, I think that's very like universal throughout, at least from my research.
Yeah, and women are really like stepping up to that
Exactly.
like, job role. And just like something I found really interesting is like when you go to have like a negotiation with someone in Australia, you usually have like a 15-minute dance is what they call it, but that's just like, how are your kids? Where are you? Like, why are you here? Like, you just talk about like random things for like 15 minutes, and then as soon as it basically gets to like that mark, th're just like, okay, let's get down to business. So that's just like a typical thing that they do in like Australian culture. And then the clothes that they wear is very casual compared to like most countries. Obviously they still want you to like look good, but like very, again, like that like surf culture, like I'm going to the beach after I'm done with work kind of dressing. A lot of Australian companies are actually international companies, which is really interesting because companies that start out in Australia tend not to actually do very well there, which I don't really know exactly why that is. But a lot of time they have to make calls with other people from different time zones, which, as you can imagine, is like horrible when you're like, I don't know exactly what the difference is between Australia and us, but I want to say it's like 12 hours or something like that. So I read this article about someone who works for like an American company, and he says that in the American time zone, when you like get up early, it's late morning for like Americans, so you can like make calls during your commute to them, and then by the afternoon like everyone has like gone to sleep that you would talk with, and you can just like get all of your work done. So they, while it's like a pain, it's also something that they enjoy because it makes like forces you to have all of your conversations at like a certain time of the day,
Almost like a block to like check off of your day.
Exactly.
For anyone who is really curious, the difference is 14 hours.
Yes.
Which so, is like in Washington right now, it's 11:45 Washington D.C. and then in Canberra, it's 1:45 a.m. the next day.
Yeah. So that's like
They're
quite
a day
a
ahead
bit
of us.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Jeez.
And some popular jobs, which I found were really interesting, are not really jobs that you would go to college for, are mostly like construction managers, like chefs, electricians, childcare workers, and then they do one of their most popular jobs is called an ICT business and system analysis, which I had no idea what that was, so I gave it a Google. And it says that they review and evaluate existing ICT systems. So that did not really help me, but if you know what that is, then perfect, move to Australia and go get a job.
They have a market for it.
But family is also something that's pretty important in their working culture. They like to have a really good like work-life balance. They have like a work hard, play hard mentality. So like they do all their stuff so that they can like go and have fun after work. And whether that's like, it's usually with your family, and your family doesn't just mean like your immediate family. It means like the group of people, like you usually hang out with like your parents' friends, your friends, like in like all in one big setting. Mm-hmm. So that's like your like quote unquote family.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so I looked up Canada. I was interested because they're neighbors with the U.S., so I wanted to see how their work life is different from ours. And I think one of the most interesting things that I found is that the Canadian workplace culture is far more egalitarian, which means that it's not hierarchical. So employees still have to follow directions, but they are, to a much higher extent, expected to show initiative, identify problems, suggest solutions to their managers, and discuss the actions that have to be taken. So I thought it was really cool that they don't have that hierarchical standard that most places do. Other things that are really interesting about Canada is that there's 2 official languages that they do in their business. They do French and they do English because of Quebec and all of that jazz. Canada is actually rated 24th country in this world for the best work-life balance there. They work 8-hour days, 40-hour weeks, but Ottawa has the best work-life balance and is like 7th in the world, country or city in the world for that. So that was really interesting to see. They had a big shift after the pandemic, like from working in the office to working from home. A lot of people ended up staying working from home afterwards because they realized like I would be so much more productive if I worked from home, type of thing. And like 40% of people over 54 said that they would leave their job if they were told that they had to go back into the office, type of thing. So
that's so
wow.
interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that's been a shift though in America.
Totally.
As well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even looking at jobs now, you almost can't find one that's not hybrid.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like it's an interesting shift to happen during our lifetime because it was almost by necessity, and now people prefer it. So
yeah, I feel like it's the same with school though. Even
yeah, that's very true.
Like
it's like you don't need to be in person with it. Like yes, I find it better to do school in person, but like it's the idea that there are so many different options. There's not one way to do it. You don't have to have the 9 to 5.
Yes.
You don't have to do that. There are lots of different options to make it work for everybody.
Yeah.
Definitely. I personally need like the separation of like where I'm at, like in order for me to get, not necessarily get work done more effectively, but like get it done more efficiently.
I think also for your mental health too, having that separation between
absolutely.
work life.
Because I can't work when my room is dirty, so I need to clean it first, and then I'm like already 30 minutes behind from having to do that. That's just how my brain works, but
no,
you know?
100%. I feel like just like the having time already set aside for you to do something is like really nice with like an actual schedule. Like for school, like if you have class in person, you know, like that hour and 15 minutes you're going to spend learning that topic instead of you now having to like take an hour and 15 minutes out of your day to like listen to your lecture.
Absolutely.
But the online option is cool for people who don't have transportation to where they are, or they have to work a full-time job to be able to afford it, or have people
100%.
to support and stuff. So there's pros and cons to all of it.
Absolutely.
Another thing that's really interesting about Canada is their benefits and insurance plans. They have employment insurance, which includes facilitation to find jobs, family benefits, sick benefits, self-employment benefits, and employees' baby health, education, and security benefits. And the government has mandated benefits in pension, legislated and parental leave, and employment insurance, which was really interesting.
That's
to learn
so
about.
much insurance.
So much insurance, so much help out. We love being assisted in that way.
Lucky ducks.
Lucky ducks.
Wait, so is this through their, so like most jobs would offer all of these benefits?
Yes.
Or like, are they required by law more than anything?
The government mandated ones are
Okay.
pension, legislated and parental leave, and employment insurance.
Okay.
But the other
Rock
ones
on.
were like very common ones that occur in a country or at an employment office too. So looking at what specific jobs are popular in Canada, and like the job market there, they're actually prioritizing skilled foreign workers. So they're searching for educated people, but they really are focused on foreign workers as well. Tech jobs in Canada are in very high demand. Some of the other jobs that are very, like, most demand in Canada are web developer, human resource managers, electrical engineer, vets, HR recruitment officers. So if you want to be in HR, go to Canada.
Seriously.
We also got financial advisors, pharmacists, welders, general labor, aerospace engineers, which I found to be interesting too.
Very interesting.
Because like when I think of aerospace, I think of NASA type of thing, and I don't even know if Canada even has a NASA like plan.
No, I have no idea. Did you see the U.S. is going to the moon again?
I did see that. They have a good diverse group that's going there too.
Yeah. Very interesting.
So interesting.
I wonder why.
Make sure it's still the same. Check it out.
Yeah.
Just leave another footprint.
Yeah.
Put a new flag up there. That one's old.
Yeah, it's probably got some weathering done to
Or
it.
floated away.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so that was a lot of the information that I had on Canada.
I would say Japan is not super different from from Australia and Canada, but I would say there's some very notable differences. Just like in the hierarchy, really. They have, businesses in Asia, they kind of have this concept called face, so that's more of your personal reputation within like the company and also socially. So there are things that you can do to like lose face in the public sphere, like disrespecting your elders and whatnot, and that just makes you lose respect within the society, especially like within the job you are in. So they do not, higher ups in the hierarchy really do not appreciate creative liberty, and like they prefer everything being run past them, so everything is done the way they would like, which I thought is so interesting because in America, I feel a lot of people have like independent work that they do, and generally you don't really run it past your superiors. It's more expected that it's done well, and they need like a status update almost. So I thought that was really different. And also the dress code there is also very formal. Men wear suits with very plain ties generally. On this website, they said they wear very neutral colors like gray, navy blue, black. And women wear like the same thing, skirts, suit jackets, very plain colors. And women are supposed to wear their hair up generally. And then, this is year-round, doesn't matter the season. Hot, doesn't matter, you're wearing your suit. And, so relationships with their coworkers are really different from the U.S. as well. They aren't really supposed to take free time while they're working to have side conversations with their other employees, coworkers, whatnot. it's actually after work where they get to socialize and talk. They normally go out for dinner together and drinks after their shift is over. And also, their shift is over not necessarily within their scheduled hours. So a way to like lose face within Japan would be to leave before your supervisor. So I know obviously in the US, like, you punch in, punch out exactly when you're supposed to, but there it's almost like an honor code thing where you want to work as much as possible. Like, I was reading an article and it said like the more you work, it's almost like a love language for your family. So, which I feel is like completely opposite within the US. It's like more time spent with your family means more love for them. But it's opposite in Japan. Like, your family will like respect you more if you're spending more time earning money for them and like bettering them.
So does that mean usually only one person in the family goes and works?
I mean, gender roles have kind of been shifting recently just because of what we talked about earlier with the baby boomers kind of phasing out and having to fill their roles. So women have been able to step up more. They generally work like very low paying part-time jobs because their role within Japanese culture is more home-based, like taking care of the kids in the house and whatnot. But yeah, women are becoming more and more prevalent within the workforce. So I think that's really interesting. So yeah, there's now like a window. So this article said that there was a stark choice for women to make, like regarding career or family, because generally speaking, the work culture within Japan makes it really difficult to be a woman and have a family. Otherwise, the gender roles would be switched, and it would be very just like difficult, really.
I'm reading a book about like the characters are in Japan, and the woman is like in her 30s, and she is like has like always prioritized her job, and her like husband is like leaving to like, well, fiance goes to like America, and then they like break off their engagement, and he says that he like wants to have a family, and she won't like be able to have both, basically.
What book is it?
Before the Coffee Gets Cold.
Okay,
I've heard of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
I can't think of the name of the author right now.
That's
but
okay.
But then like basically the moral of the story is that she like tries to like go and like reverse time in this cafe to like go back and like see him again and like change what happened and tell him to stay.
Oh, wow.
But like, yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.